I'm Jeremy, if you don't know me, and I feel like a little bit of a rookie in front of all you veterans of the guild. You know, everyone here, you know, for me it's... I've only written one book. It came out in June last year, Chinese Unchopped. It's all about what I believe are the 5 to 7 core techniques of Chinese cooking. If you get your head round those techniques, then I believe you can cook hundreds of dishes. You always wonder why Chinese restaurants have so many dishes on a menu. We're talking about that. It's because you have those techniques, and we literally then can cook anything. So, and you know, you can swap out the protein, swap out the veg. A lot of people are a little bit worried about Chinese food, and maybe a little bit petrified of the ingredients. But I don't necessarily think it's the ingredients that are the difficult part to learn, because Chinese culture in general is very adaptable. It's you know, it's all over the world, and it's been all over the world for many, many years. And the reason is that once you've got those techniques, you can cook anything. Yeah. So in terms of the ingredients, there's always things that you can swap out, and that's what I call swapsies in my book. So, but it's a real pleasure to have you all here, because I know you. Well, it's a great turnout. I didn't expect it to be so many people. I'm going to try. Everything at School of What, we try to have at least some sort of interaction. So for the first sort of half hour, 40 minutes or so, I'm actually going to get you guys to play around a little bit with a couple of different types of dumplings. If you feel like you want to, you don't have to. There are some aprons around. But I know the evening is to sort of talk you through what I call the evolution of dim sum, which I've only really sort of picked up myself over the last 6 years or so. I really wanted to do this around this time of the year. It's Chinese New Year. It's the last day of Chinese New Year today. So Happy New Year to you all. Gong Hei Fat Choi. Lantern Festival, the 15th day. We've got the odd lantern here, right? No, but the dumplings are folded in many little sort of intricate ways, and I want to show you a journey through what I've learned over the last few years, and kind of how I'm trying to better myself in that as well, with the hope that in the next book I might write a dim sum book myself. But the big thing is learning about mistakes that I think I'd like to point out and show you guys as well. Welcome. Cool. Thanks to Laura. Where's Laura? Hiding in the corner for organising. But we're going to get straight on to a couple of things. So over the course, we're going to do a little bit of interaction now. I'm going to get you guys to make up a couple of different dumplings, but I'm going to show you how to make them first. And if you don't mind, we are in central London. We're limited in space. If you just, when I'm demonstrating, especially for this part, just huddle down as close to me as possible. And then you can kind of huddle back the other way. Yeah. And what we'll do is, if you are going to make the dumplings, if everyone wants to get involved with making dumplings, we need to wash hands and things. But don't worry, we've made a load of dumplings for you guys to eat. So if you feel like you can't be bothered to wash your hands, we just won't cook them. Okay. So and I don't mind that either. This is just for you guys to play around. So yeah, really come down closer, a bit closer. Yeah, we'll get a bit cozy, and then once we've made these two dumplings, we're going to split the tables up a bit, and then I'm going to show you. I'm going to demonstrate for about half hour or so a lot more complex things that everyone can get a bit closer to see. So a lot of people. Does anyone know much about dim sum? Does anyone know much about dim sum? It's delicious. Yeah. You've been out to Hong Kong quite a bit. Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. Well, so dim sum. Does anyone know where dim sum started? What it means? Any takers? A little touch of heart. Yeah, touch of heart. So dim sum started in the old tea houses, which is probably why you know this. Okay. So tea houses in the old days would never used to serve any food. Okay, so it would just be all different types of tea, which I have no clue about the teas, but we have many people in here, I'm sure one or two who will be able to tell us more about that. But the process was, okay, well, this lovely lady who owned a tea house had a customer who looked a little bit tired and very hungry, so she wanted to feed him, and so she decided, well, what have I got? I've got some flour and I've got water, I've got flour, I've got some oil, I'll make some dumplings. So she made some dumplings for her customer, and it was just, a bit of flour rolled out, stuffed it with some meat, and pieced it together. And it wasn't very intricate, nothing, you don't imagine anything to, any little pleats or anything like that. But the next door neighbour thought, hey, wait a second, she's feeding her customers dumplings, so maybe I should do the same with ours, because otherwise we'll lose out on business. So it then became quite competitive, and all the neighbouring tea houses wanted to do the same, but each little dumpling became more and more beautiful, and that's where the pleats would have come from. Okay, so pleating is a real intricate, it's an art, and it takes a long time to teach. We have, very luckily these days in the modern world, we have some ready-made pastries, which I'm going to get you guys using. We also have, lots of different ways of rolling and folding and pleating fresh pastries, which is what I'm going to show you later on. Usually with rolling and folding pastries, it takes us about 5 days to teach someone how to be comfortable to roll every single pastry individually. And to give you guys a bit of perspective, a professional dim sum chef, which I would say I'm probably intermediate, getting to advanced now, they're probably making anywhere between 1,000 to 2,000 dumplings a day, and they're individually rolling every single pastry. Okay, I could probably do about 800 to 1,000, so I'm not quite there, but I'm getting there. Okay, so and it takes a lot of practice. So when we do a 5-day course, we get all the way. We'll start with silmai, which I'm getting you guys to try today. Gyoza, or the Chinese call them jiaozi, the Koreans call them dumplings. That sort of pleating, there's lots of different ways to do it, which I'll show you that as well. But aside from that, you can go all the way to what I call the ultimate dumpling, and that's the soup dumpling. Has anyone tried a xiaolongbao or xiaolongbao? Yes. So that's a little jelly inside a dumpling that when it steams, it melts through and then it becomes soup. And in Shanghai, where it originated from, you can even get a tongbao, which is essentially a giant version of that, which they put a straw into, which is great. So we've made a few of those up for you guys as well to try later. But I'll show you how to make those in a second. So we're going to start with silmai, and I'm going to take you, hopefully over the course of the next hour and a half, I'm going to take you through a journey of dumplings before we then change the whole room around and serve you guys up a whole feast of dumplings. Okay. So are we ready for that? Yeah, okay, good. Okay, so silmai is where we always start. So a one-ton pastry is essentially like an egg pasta. Katie will know this, or not. So egg pasta, very similar. There's the big question is, did the Chinese or the Italians invent pasta? Neither. Apparently, it was the Persians and the Arabs that invented it. So, but it's very, very thin. It's easy to make. Egg, a bit of water, hot water, and some oil.
Would you use a pasta rolling machine?
You could do, yeah, but because we have so many different types of dumplings, and the ones that I'm going to show you later on are so complex, as much as we can get ready-made stuff, we'll go for it. Because, I mean, the guys have been making dumplings. We made a few of them, a few hundred of them last week, froze them. We made, I think we made about 200 today, in between doing everything else. It's a lot of work. So we've got a bit of meat mix here if anyone wants to try this, and we have some vegetarians in the house. I think just one, no more. Okay. All right. Well, Hannah knows who you are, so she'll bring you some vegetarian mix over to your station. Okay. So usually with the meat mix, I always say that if you can close a dumpling, you can put whatever you want inside. Yeah. With siomai, it's slightly more difficult because it's an open dumpling. It's like an open wonton, so you need something sticky enough to stick the pastry to its sides. Yeah. So meat's good for that, but what with the veggie mix, what we've done is we've got some glutinous rice mix, so a sticky rice with mushrooms and things like that in there that will do the same job. So the first thing is with a siomai is, and again I really don't mind if you guys want to just play with this and not eat them, it's fine. We've got loads of them. So we're going to, we spread the mix across, there's a veggie mix. Let's pass that down. There we go. Yes. So yes. What's that?
Is the siomai anything to do with the shape or the filling?
No, siomai. Yeah, it's. I guess it's a type of dumpling. All of these things. So siomai is this type of dumpling. Hagao is the dumpling that's slightly clear with slightly white and clear with prawn inside. Okay, so every dumpling has a name. Dim sum, as we know, is now a little touch of heart. So the little touch of heart came from that lovely lady who wanted to feed her customers, right? So dim sum is a conglomerate term for all of these dumplings. But dim sum is not just dumplings. Dim sum is almost like Chinese tapas. You know, you've got braised chicken's feet that goes through, I think, 6 different cooking processes. So braised chicken feet would be blanched and then dried, deep fried, then braised, then marinated, then steamed. Yeah. And there's lots of different cooking processes. It's not just dumplings, but the majority of dim sum are dumplings. Okay. So we've got we've spread the mix out. I say like a bit of pate on toast, or you know when you're spreading your butter on bread and toast, you want it to get to the edges. So you've got to get it to the edges, otherwise it's not going to stick properly. And then this movement here is not only important for for siomai, but it's important for many different types of dumplings. And it's trying to get as oh, hello. Yeah. And you got it. Come on through. Okay, and so what we're trying to do here is it's going to start. I'm right-handed, but I'm doing this in my left hand. Okay, because my right hand's on the spoon. Okay, so my left hand is going to twist, and it forms what I call an egg cup shape. Can you see this? Where it's a uniform cup out of the fingers in my hand. Now my fingers shouldn't be like this, or even that. They're all nice and uniform. And it's a beating egg cup. Okay, you see that? It's beating, right? Because the beating allows it to twist. Everyone see that? So as I'm twisting, I'm pushing with the base of my spoon. Twist and push, twist and push, twist and push. And you can see that I'm kind of just pushing that meat down into the pastry, much like you know when you've got ice cream and you want to get all the ice cream through the cone. Yeah. Okay, it's kind of like that. Right. So you're pushing in, and you can see that after sort of 5 or 6 or 10 turns, that you have this lovely dumpling that just sits up. Cool. You want to see that? You want to see that? I'll pass it around in a second. I'll show you one more, and then I'm going to get you guys all started on this, okay? Right.
And you don't do any pleating around the edge of it?
Not with this dumpling. I'll show you pleating with the next one. With gyoza.
This one's steamed?
This one's steamed, yeah. Most dim sum is either steamed or deep fried. Yeah, okay? Yeah. Right, so I'm going to take a little bit of mix again. Alright, and I'm going to show you. So a good bit of mix into the centre, but you've got to spread that out across the pastry. Can everyone see that? I'm spreading it right out, right to the edges, right to the edges, right to the edges. Okay, and then what we're doing is that you form your egg cup shape, sit that pastry into there nice and neatly. Dim sum, index fingers and thumbs are most important. That's where you're going to get your shape. Can you see that? Circular, yeah? Right, so when you've got your shape, your circular shape, then you can start to form that. So twist, push, twist, push, twist, push, twist, push. and you can see it's gathering that pastry and sticking nicely to the edge. Once you've done that, it should sit up really nice and tight and slightly tower-like. You get this type of dim sum in many different countries. If you go out to Thailand, you'll see siu mai as well, but it's much flatter, wider, right? I believe that's many generations of lost communication. A siu mai should be tall, okay? And so you can fit a good bit of meat in there, and it sits up nice and pretty. Okay? So it's just for you guys to play around. I'm going to get you guys going on this. Try and, if you want to make some, we've got plenty of pastries. You can just have a little play and try and make a siu mai here or there, and then I'm going to show you another dumpling before I go into the full demonstration. Okay? But the guys that are coming around to pick up the siu mai, we've got a few little mixes coming round now for me to show you how to make a jiaozi or gyoza, and there's lots of different pleats of that. But I'm going to show you a very simple pleat so that it's something that you can go take away and take home with you and try at home as well, okay? And then once I start making pastries from scratch, I'm going to start to show you much more complex pleats, but that's when I'm going to sort of talk you through it, and you guys can just ask lots of questions and we sort of really engulf you in that sort of journey. So if you want to again just sort of do the group huddle, that would be great. Then I'll talk you through this now. Yeah? How did you find making siu mai? How was that? Yeah? So I'm going to show you a few mistakes, okay? A few things that you could learn from. Okay, so I like doing big groups like this because you always see every single one of the ones that I'm going to point out. So you can see here my perfectly formed siu mai. But if you were to squeeze too much with the top, your index finger and thumb, you would eventually end up with a pear-shaped siu mai. Okay. If you were to squeeze too much with your middle finger, then you would get an hourglass-shaped siu mai. Okay. If you squeeze too much with the bottom, the fourth, and the little finger, then your siu mai would topple over. Okay. So the point is that with siu mai, it's got to be as uniform as possible when you're pushing that meat mix into the siu mai itself, so it sits up right. Okay, so that's the learning with siu mai.
How long do they take to cook?
6 to 8 minutes if you make each one exactly right. In a bigger group, 10 to 12 minutes, just because we never know how many spoons of mix someone's put into dumpling.
So 10 to 12 minutes.
Yeah. So in the book I put 10 to 12 minutes.
Sorry, very good question.
Yeah.
What was actually in the mix?
Oh yeah, good question. So with a traditional mix, we always start Chinese food. I guess you all might be more familiar with Western sort of bases, like a mirepoix, for example, would be onion, carrot, and celery. Chinese food would be ginger, garlic, and spring onion. At home, we would always put that sort of base into something like this. In restaurants, they probably wouldn't even bother. They'd just get loads of meat into a dumpling like a siu mai. Okay, so the meat usually is a mixture of prawn and pork. That's a very traditional, I call it the Chinese surf and turf, because people get a bit confused by it, but then you go surf and turf, oh yeah, that works, yeah. So, but you can use any sort of sticky mix. So if you didn't want meat, but you're happy to eat fish, then you could have different types of minced fish in there. Or you could, a nice mixture is white fish, prawn, and crab. And that makes a really nice siu mai. And then in more sort of mass-produced environments, they'll probably put a bit of bread mix into that meat so that any fatty impurities that get soaked up in that, and that's how we would do it. And ideally as well, we would beat this mix. So we would take that filling and we would scoop it out of the bowl and really beat it sort of 10-15 times to knock out all the air, make it a sort of more smooth paste. and also to make it nice and succulent. In fact, to be honest, when I make Western burgers, I do that as well, and it really makes a really good burger because it keeps it all together in one patty. Yeah. But I wasn't going to get you guys to throw meat around everywhere today. So any more questions on the silmai? The veggie mix was the same base, but we put a few veg, Chinese leaf, some Chinese chive, some shiitake mushroom, and then we mixed it with cooked glutinous rice, and then seasoned that rice up. And and it needs, with silmai, you need something sticky to help stick those sides, those pastries to the side of the dumpling. Yeah. Okay.
So there's never any water used to stick the dough? Just
not with silmai. Okay. So long as you've got a watery enough mix, you're fine. With this, with a gyoza, especially a ready-made pastry, you need water, which is why we've got these little ramekins here. But in a second, when I make your pastries from scratch, it's got a lot of moisture in there, so we won't need water. Okay. So a gyoza pastry or a jiaozi pastry, the Chinese very literal, they call it dumpling pastry, but which isn't quite right because there's many types of dumplings, so you could be a bit confused by that. So you can see the whiteness of that pastry. There's two. If you ever see a char siu bao, the steamed bao, the bread, it's very, very bright white. That's bright white because a lot of the restaurants use bleached flour. In the UK, it's actually banned from buying or selling bleached flour here, but apparently you're allowed to import it. I don't know how that works. So anyway, the other thing is the grain is milled to a slightly finer grain. So they tend to, even with the non-bleached flour, they tend to try and mill out the darker grains of wheat flour. So this is usually a medium gluten wheat flour, which is the equivalent of a plain flour, a Western plain flour. Okay. So in Chinese wheat flours we have 3 levels: low, medium, high. Yeah. The higher you go, the more elastic it becomes. So the more it's going to ping back on you when you roll into it. Yep. With ready-made pastries, they are different. You do need water to stick. We've just, to be honest, got a little bit of hagao mix here for you guys to play with, because I'm going to show you the hagao in a second. And there's some veggie mix. There should be nearby. If not, yeah, you got that. Yeah, okay. So with the veggie mix, we've got tofu in there, some vermicelli noodles in there, and then the same base of vegetables that I talked through with the silmai. Okay. So what we do, this is the easiest possible fold, and this is actually these two dishes, the silmai and we've got this deep fried gyoza in Chinese unchopped. I wanted to introduce this into the book because I'm so passionate about dumplings, but I kind of found it quite difficult to work out how you could to sort of teach that in a recipe, or teach this in a recipe. So tonight, from my perspective, when we have a chat later, I'm more than happy for you guys to give me a few tips on how to maybe express certain things that are actually really difficult to put on paper. I find that really difficult with dumplings. So I've got a bit of mix in my centre. I've got a little bit of water, which I'm just going to dot around the edge of the pastry. Okay, now this is what I like to call the Mickey Mouse fold. Okay, so it's centre to the centre, and we pinch that together, nice and firm. Yeah, but you can see here I'm only using my index finger and thumb. Yeah, that is very good because it means that I can see exactly what I'm doing. Yeah, if my hands are all over it, you can't see your dumpling. So the next thing is I'm going to make 2 sort of fairly large Mickey Mouse ears, because I watched Dumbo yesterday and it reminded me of that as well. So I'm going to push in. Mickey Mouse is still awake. I'm not going to close his ears, so his ears are open. Okay, so I'm going to push in and upwards on the side and pinch that first side. Can you see that sort of rounded open ear? Everyone see that? Everyone see that? Everyone see that? Okay. The second side, symmetrical on the other side, point in and upwards. And now I've got 2 sort of relatively round Mickey Mouse ears. Yeah, everyone got that? Everyone got that? Everyone got that? Yeah. Okay. Once you've got your 2 ears, then you just put that down. Well, you can. I'll hold it up here so you can see. And then I'm going to use my pincers, okay, index finger and thumb, to take the centre of the ears in towards the pastry or the half moon shape that's looking towards me. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I'm going to pull this in and squeeze that tight. That's 2 folds there. I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. Pull in and squeeze that in. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 pleats there. Can you see those? Everyone see those? 4 pleats, 4 pleats, 4 pleats. Yeah. Okay, once I've got my 4 pleats, I might need a little bit of water to help stick the edges. I'm going to go, the outside pleats go down, and the inside pleats in the centre go towards the centre up. And that there is by far the easiest way to make a gyoza. Okay. Okay. Okay, you can pass that one round. You can pass that on. So I'm going to show you one more, the same way. Okay. And you don't need a lot of mix. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
If it has more than the 4 pleats or 5 pleats, is it wrong?
No dumplings ever wrong as long as it tastes good. Okay. So I mean, you know, in street food, they would literally, this is where dumplings started, they would literally just take the thing and piece it together, right? With no pleats. And if you think about it, the more pleats you put in a dumpling, the thicker that pastry is going to be. So actually, realistically, the more pleats, if you're not really intricate at squeezing that together well whilst keeping the pleats, you're going to get a very thick dumpling which won't taste very nice. So at home, it's much easier to just do like that and squeeze it together, okay? But this is...
Plastic, I think I'm sure I've got one at home.
Yeah, the one. Yeah, absolutely. But they make them look a bit more like a Cornish pasty. So but I don't mind that either. So so centre to the centre and pinch. Okay, point in and upwards and pinch the side closest to you. Do the same on the other side, in and upwards. You've got 2 open ears. Once you've got the ears, take the centre in and the centre in on the other side. 4 pleats, 1, 2, 3, 4. A little bit of water on the edges. Squeeze down and down, up and up into the centre, and that's your half moon shaped gyoza.
If you say so.
Okay. So, your last hard task of the evening before I do all the rest of the work is to try and make some gyoza. Okay?
But it's at local rice bus stop.
Yes.
When they announce we're at local rice.
She's brilliant if you go in and you tell her.
Oh, really?
And she...
If I could just get your attention, please. So, again, we're going to pick up the dumplings. We're going to deep fry these ones. The rest of it, we might blanch a few as well. We have also on the menu lots of different dim sum coming out. So we've got some hagao, we've got some xiaolong bao, the soup dumplings. We have some we have some little hedgehog custard buns that we've made as well, that we're going to fry off for you later. So what we'll do now is we'll have a sort of 5-10 minute drinks break, relax, enjoy yourselves, have a chat. The guys are going to have to come up to the middle of the tables to move a few tables aside so that everyone can watch the next demo, and I'm going to then demonstrate the 3 types of dumpling that you are eating but are not going to make. I will demonstrate for you, and I'll talk you through, and we'll have lots of questions and chat. And then after that, we'll bring all the food out and more alcohol, and we can enjoy eating together. Yeah.
About the dipping sauce.
Okay, so there's lots of dipping sauces with dim sum. The standard ones, especially for something like gyoza, would be a half black rice vinegar. That's a rice vinegar made out of black rice husk. And then and a mixture of that and light soy sauce and some ginger. Very, very simple. Yeah, nothing complicated. And then we would usually have 2 types of chili sauce, so a chili oil and a chili sauce, which is almost like a chili paste on the side. But other than that, it's really, really quite simple. Yeah, it's the dumpling themselves that should give you that flavour. Yeah. Okay. Any questions on those dumplings, or was that nice and simple? Right, there's obviously lots of different ways you can fold that dumpling. I'm going to show you a few of those folds in a second, and later on when I'm doing my demo, I've got a few random bits of dough that if anyone wants to try doing what I'm doing, you can try with dough inside dough. Okay.
Okay, Sally.
So enjoy your break. A small man with a big voice. So the two dumplings that you've all had a play with are both in the book. This is my upsell plugs. And the big thing is, thank you. Very good, thank you. So Chinese unchopped. A lot of people asked. Actually, it was who was it? So my niece, I guess, cousin, asked why it's called Chinese unchopped. And it was my little niece, and she reads a lot. And 3 days later, she said, "I know why now, because everything's sliced, not chopped." And there is a difference between slicing and chopping, and that's where we start the book, right? So 80% of the stuff I say you're slicing because it's much more efficient than chopping. Chopping, you're sort of just whacking something, a sharp implement on top of whatever you're trying to cut into, right? So the whole thing's techniques based. Obviously, I'm a teacher. I started this teaching people in their own homes in 2009, and the big process for me was at the beginning was trying to get around what people thought was impossible, and that was cooking Chinese food at home, right? I had one question was about ceramic hobs. Oh, is it actually possible? Well, we had whether it was or not, we had to make it possible. So I would go from house to house to house, and every single hob would be completely different. It would be ceramic to induction to electric to halogen to gas. No matter what, we even cooked on an Aga, yeah. And I actually even went to an Aga cookery class with my business partner in 2010 for 6 hours, and we cooked many dishes. But the number one thing was to try and work out whether you could cook a stir fry on an Aga. You can cook 1.5 stir fries on an Aga, guys. Before it loses too much heat, that you have to switch it, put it back on, and wait another 2 hours before you can cook again. Okay. So it's all techniques based. It's all about understanding those basics. The core techniques that I was talking about, I haven't touched on those yet. So one of those dumplings, silmai, they're steamed, okay? The other dumplings you tried just now, the gyoza, they're deep fried. Just in the book, they're deep fried for ease. Yeah. But you can, with all these dumplings, you can freeze them, you can cook them, but from frozen. You have to cook them from frozen. If you let them defrost too much, other than maybe the ready-made pastries like silmai, which are a little bit more robust, the moisture starts to interact with the pastries very differently. So you have to cook them from frozen. Usually from frozen, I add an extra minute and a half, and just slightly lower the heat on if we're deep frying. Okay, if it's steaming, just an extra minute and a half to 2 minutes on top is fine. Yeah. First cooking technique in Chinese cuisine. Any takers? Stir frying, yeah, stir frying. We spend our lives teaching people how to stir fry. I always ask how many people own a wok. Any? Yeah. Okay. How many people know how to use a wok? Usually 50%. Yeah. So it's very different. It's very, very different. And the whole process of what I've created through School of Wok and all of us teach here is trying to simplify things, but simplify explanations, not simplify cooking. Yeah. If something has to be cooked a certain way, it has to be cooked a certain way, right? So stir frying, steaming, deep frying. Then we've got braising. We have poaching. We have roasting. And then the last one is what we call double cooking. Double cooking is piecing together 2 or more of those techniques to make one dish. Okay, so for example, you might not think about it, but sweet and sour, I would say, is double cooked, not just stir fried. Okay, because we make a dry batter, deep fry it so it's nice and crispy but not greasy, and then we stir fry it into a caramelized wrapping sauce, and then serve it out. Right? Crispy pork, as in like roast pork, crispy roast pork, with the the crackling on top. We would blanch it first, then dry it, and then roast it. And that blanching brings out the fatty impurities, and then when we cook it, it's also sucks it up, so it's much tighter, and you can get into the skin much easier. Open that up, salt it, dry it, roast it. Okay. Dim sum, completely different ball game. But the cooking processes are mainly, as I said, steamed or deep fried. So if you're happy to stand, great. If you want to come a bit closer because you can't see, the next sort of 20 minutes or so, I'm going to show you 3 completely different dumplings, and I'm going to talk you through the learning process. So the first one is hagao, which I'm just going to use the same filling. I'm not bothered by the filling right now. I just want to show you guys how to do the process. So earlier I was talking about beating the mix. For those close to me, I apologise if it does come close to you, but I'll try and keep it as clean as possible. So we beat the mix to sort of separate, to get the air as much out of the mix as possible.
Not to expand the protein like you do with sausage.
No, that's a good question. I've not actually thought about that.
If you take minced pork,
yeah,
and then you knead it, what happens is it becomes sticky and expands the protein.
Yeah, maybe it does, and maybe that's why it goes white. I've not thought about the science of that.
Okay.
I might pick your brain later though. Yeah, okay, so
there's not much brain left.
I'm going to put a little bit of potato starch in there just to keep it together. I've got some turkey mince here, but you can use whatever mince you want. Okay, so what we do to beat the mix is we cup. You cup your hand, not like that, because if it's like that, it literally will fling everywhere. Okay, yes. Or you might want to sit a little bit further back. Sure. Okay. Okay. So and then we scoop it up. And then the bowl needs to be right nice and tight down, and then we give it a good flick down until it combines nicely. Okay.
Do you do the same with the veggie one?
Veggie one, no, because you don't have to. But the problem, or not the problem, the difference or difficulty with veggie mixes is that there's going to be a lot more air in between everything that you put in there. So, what we do is find something that will fill those gaps. So vermicelli, tofu, like with the siomai, we did the glutinous rice. You know, it's filling gaps.
Use some mung bean noodles.
Yes, yeah, you can use mung bean noodles as well. Rice vermicelli, mung bean vermicelli. Yeah. Okay, so we give this a good flick through.
This has nothing to do with mahjong the night before.
Yeah. Sounds the same then, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay, so once you've done that, you can see that. Oh, that was close, almost into my dumpling. Okay, and then once you've done that, you can see that it's almost like one big patty or one big burger. Yeah. So then I can use that as I wish. I'm going to clean my hand.
You have to. That's why. It's much more homogenous. Yes. Actually, it's the same texture as
Okay, right, I'm going to work pretty quickly with this, guys, so you've got to concentrate whilst I'm doing this, but I can't work that quickly because I've got my... Okay. Right, so I've got hot water from a kettle. I have here about 500 grams roughly of... I'm going to have to reboil my kettle. Can I have one that works? I'll tell you what. I'll talk you through the flours. I've got wheat starch, about 500 grams here. I've got some
Starch the same as flour.
No, it's slightly different. Supposedly, the difference is that it hasn't got the gluten aspect of the flour, but I wouldn't call it gluten-free. Yeah. We've got tapioca starch here. So every flour does something different. Okay, this is a hagao, the slightly see-through prawn dumpling. The tapioca flour will give it its jelly-like, slightly translucent structure. Yeah. So that's going in there. If you want it more jelly-like, then you can get these crystal dumplings, which are half and half wheat starch and tapioca. Potato starch and corn flour, kind of cousins in a weird way in terms of what they do for texture. Obviously, if you're deep frying something, it helps crisp up. And even with dumplings, in Chinese we call it almost giving it a crisp as well, but it's almost helping it hold its structure and give it a bite. Okay, even though it's a steamed dumpling, it still has a bite. Yeah. So potato starch and corn flour. The slight difference I find in texture is that potato starch is a bit more squeaky, more fine than corn starch. So this works. Good.
But if there's no gluten, how does the dough hold together?
I'm going to talk that to you now. Okay, so it's got to be speed. It's almost like, but so this is why my water right now is probably 5 degrees too low. Okay, so I'm going to put it back on the heat. I'll bring that up and then we'll tear that. Okay, thank you. Yeah, cheers. You can whack it on and then just bring it as soon as it's on 100 degrees straight out. Okay, So I'm going to work with this pretty quickly, this dough, and this is why I'm showing it to you, because it's really interesting to see. The idea is that you want to cook it almost like a choux pastry. When you're cooking your choux pastry, you're trying to get it combine it all together. You're almost again, you might be able to help me with this, but the structure changes completely. I've tried this cooking it like a choux pastry, but it overcooks the pastry. So when you steam it, because it's such a delicate pastry, it will won't hold its shape as well. So this needs to be like slap bang in the middle. It cooks pretty quickly. So I'm going to go for about 570 grams, roughly, of hot water. Okay. 573, not bad. Okay, so I'm going to go straight into that, right? And it's nice and quick. And in a second, yes, thank you. Yeah, I have to work with this very quickly with my bare hands. It's hot water. Okay, so right. And I've been doing a lot of dim sum recently, and my hands are definitely feeling it. So
it's very white.
Yes, this is very white. That's down to the wheat starch, which is very, very white. Okay, so. Right, so it's all combined. If I didn't do that as quickly as I did, it would feel more like a paste, not like a jelly. Okay, so I've got all this together now, and then this is where on a cold day it helps your hands. But okay. Right, some oil. Can I have some clean oil? I've got some somewhere.
Jelly comes from the jellied texture comes from the
yolk starch. Yeah. Okay, so I'm using the palms of my hands. If I get too hot, okay. Yeah, you could, but we don't have any of that here. Okay. So it's a really, really jelly-like structure, this. Thank you. And then we're going to roughly use a couple of tablespoons of oil into this. It's hot now. Okay, and you just keep going until it's nice and sort of jelly-like, if you can. And at this point, it's okay to stop for a second. Okay, and you can see my hands. Okay, So, because I know that the chemical reaction or the physical reaction has worked as I want it to. It's not pasty.
And how do you know that?
You can feel it. It's jelly-like. Yeah. If it's pasty, if I pushed into that, it will go all the way through.
Would it have
Spring
gone
back,
pasty if
spring
you
back.
were doing it slowly then? If you
Yeah, if you drizzle that water in, like some doughs you do, then I tried it in a mixer once, and the mixer was too fast, and it came out completely pasty, and you then can't make a dumpling out of it.
If you do it
You have to at least start with your wooden spoon, pour all the water in, give it a good mix first, so that you know you've got control of that, and then put it into your mixer afterwards on a low to medium, to knead it through. Okay, so this dumpling pastry that I'm making here is a type of pastry that most Chinese chefs would say you're not ready to learn it. Whenever you want to learn, you're just not ready to learn it.
your mum says
My mum doesn't know how to make it. Okay.
How many restaurants in Chinatown will make this themselves?
Okay, in Chinatown, probably most in Chinatown. But like the ping pongs and those, ping pong have a central kitchen in East London. But they also make the hagao get made in Vietnam by hand.
By hand.
Yeah.
There are more hands in Vietnam.
Yeah, a lot more hands in Vietnam and Thailand. Yeah. Okay, so you don't have to over knead this. It's pretty much there. It's nice and jelly-like, and that then needs a few minutes to rest, but not that long.
It's still steaming.
I'm just going to put my hands in some cold water, and then I'll be back.
It's brilliant. Is anyone cold? Because we've got a heating device. Wow.
Okay, it's pretty hot, right, guys? Okay.
We kept it warm for you.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Right, that's jelly. So, I'm going to talk you through the hagao first. So, I'm only going to show you a couple of pastries. I've made a lot more than I need, but anyway. So we've got your pastry here. Looks almost like a little bit of wax. And what we do, so this is, just remember, you guys made silmai gyoza with ready-made pastries. That's the start of our process of teaching, okay? So when I start a 5-day course, on the first day, you only deal with ready-made pastries, okay? Day 2, you'll make a gyoza pastry from scratch, only one type of homemade pastry. Day 3, we start doing, nowadays we do hand-pulled noodles just for a bit of fun. And then because I found that giving people a little rest in between, it's good, like for their learning, because otherwise they just get so sort of warped with the amount of information you're giving them. Day 4, day 5, it starts everything's homemade pastries, so char siu bao, steam buns, all that sort of stuff. And then on the 5th day, we allow people to make a soup dumpling. Okay, right. So what we do is we create this nice long cylinder ready.
With the we also use the ready-made pastry. Is there a big difference between pastry?
Yeah, I'm going to show you now when we roll it. Yeah. So then once you've got the cylinder, you cut nice sort of circles into that, right? And then you take each pastry and you make it into a nice round circle. The rounder you start, the rounder you'll finish. Okay? So that's nice and round there. And I make my little droplets. I'm going to do 2 or 3 of this type of dumpling just to talk you through. This process of doing this is also relatively complex, right? And what I'm doing is I'm creating... it's good practice to start like this with dumplings, because when I start to do custard buns or steamed bao, you know when you bite into one of those breads, got a slight skin on the outside. Okay, that's what this process is, and we're making a skin on the outside of the pastry. Okay, so you're pushing in, and you're just basically thinning out the outer edge of the pastry itself. So we've got my little droplets there. Once I've got a droplet, then I take the one that I started first, because that's had more time to relax. And then I push into that, but it's a jelly-like structure. It's not going to be that relaxed anyway. So, and then this here takes a long time to teach. About an hour and a half to teach 6 to 12 people how to do 6 mediocre-looking dumplings. So, it's a lot of effort. All right. So, my left hand is what I call the spokes of the wheel, and the wheel's going anti-clockwise, being moved by my index finger and my thumb. Okay, you see that? Yeah. Once you've got that, my right hand fingers are always spread out, push down and forwards, and when you come back, it relaxes. So it's no pressure when it comes back. Relax, relax.
Like a yoga class.
Yeah. It's very therapeutic once you get there. In between, it's very frustrating. Okay, so usually I start like this and then get the students to go in together, and then they start going in. So you go in, in.
I've already decided it's baking dumplings.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, amazing.
Okay, and if we need a little bit of starch just to help us out, tapioca's good because it will keep it nice and clear. Okay, just to keep that moving around. Okay, and that's my first pastry. Remember, 1,000 to 2,000. Right, I'll do these 4 and I'll show you different folds. Okay.
Is this what you said you make around 1,000 of a day?
If I was to really go for it, maybe 800. I would imagine. Yeah.
These discs?
Yeah. No. And the dumplings. You have to make it fresh. You can't just leave the discs there.
How long did the discs not be?
This type of pastry is very delicate. Mel and I were doing the ones you guys are eating later on. We did about maybe about 70 in about I did all the filling as well in about an hour. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Okay, so
I could eat some now.
well, that's oiled. I don't do that. Okay.
Why do you make it with the point on the top?
Because that's the inside and the smoother sides on the bottom. Yeah. Okay, so I'll do this last one, and then I'll show you the folds. Okay, and we push with this because it's like quite jelly-like the structure. You have to push in quite a lot to get it to that that sort of thin texture. Right. So pretend this is prawn. Okay. I'm going to take a little bit of my mix in. I'm going to show you a classic hagao fold. Completely different to your gyoza fold. Right, classic hagao fold from the side, and you pinch the edge first, and then you push. You're pleating over almost like a Chinese fan. Okay, so you push index finger to index finger, and then pick it up, and then you gather, and you gather, and you keep going as you go over, and it's almost exactly over the top of each pleat, like so, all the way to the end until you finish. And then when you finish, you have a hagao.
Wow.
Okay.
Is there an optimum number of folds?
With a hagao, 9 minimum. I've got about 11 there. So like 9. But when I'll show you when we do xiaolong bao, we do a lot more. So that's a classic fold. Okay. I'm just showing you guys. So I'm going to show you the pleats. Where we came from. That journey, that evolution of dumplings. Yeah, you can make whatever shapes you want. So. For example, if you wanted, I don't know, for the ladies in here, we like our purses. Okay, so maybe you can make a little purse shape. So push in from the inside and push up and gather the 2 sides, and push up again and gather 2 sides and finish there. So that's the first side. See that? Turn that around and then push in. Do the same again. gather, gather, and push in, gather, gather. And then we've got two nice sort of pleats that sit on either side of the dumpling, and then that's a little purse, yeah? And then
real scale to how much filling you put, isn't that?
yes, yeah. Especially with that type of dumpling, if you want it to get right to the top, not underneath, not too far up, you need to have done it a few times. Yeah.
And it's whether it's exposed or encased in the pastry, just a visual thing.
Yeah, it's a visual thing. It's completely a visual thing. The taste and texture will come from the pleating and your rolling, if it's thin enough, you know. Okay, so if you wanted to take that fold to the next level, you could say do this. So you push in, squeeze, pull, and keep going until you get to the top, right? And then you just put that in there and just finish that off. Then you got this nice sort of leaf shape. You see? Okay, so if you wanted to make that into a little puffer fish, you can do it like this. Just tear that, push that down into a little rough tail. There you go. Put a couple of chia seeds on the side, you know. That's
Then you're really trendy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, then you're ping pong trendy. Okay, so and then so I mean, there's a million different things you can do with this. I'm going to show you now a soup dumpling. Okay, so that's hagao. Yeah. So when it comes to the folding and pleating, actually, it doesn't really. It's not the pleats that make the dumpling what it is. So relating to your question, yeah. Right. What am I doing? Here we go. So a soup dumpling pastry is like so. We have your pastry here, medium gluten wheat flour, which we know what it is now, with some tapioca starch. A little bit and hot water, but it's not because of the gluten in the wheat flour. It's not as important that it needs to be piping hot. And I've let this sit for a good hour. I don't mind that. Yeah. And some oil and some salt and that's it. Okay. So with a soup dumpling, you start the same way. I'll just do a couple to show you the different.
So the rolling into the log and cutting little balls is whatever?
Yes, whatever you do, we start the same way. You can make that pastry, roll it flat. Like when we teach it in a 6-hour class, in a normal class, we do hagao, but we get everyone to roll it out and cut it. Yeah. But actually, I find that quite more tedious. Okay, so we take your pastry, do the same. The mix, I'm going to use the same, but the jelly or the stock, we make a chicken or pork broth stock, and we don't season it, and then we jellify it. Traditionally, they use pig's fat, to make it jellified. Okay, a lot of it. We use agar so that we can make a nice clean stock. And then jellify it that way, and that means that we can make whatever flavour stock we want and still jellify it the right way. When I form this jelly, I usually put 1.5 times the amount that a packet says on an agar packet. I've tried 2, it's too much, and then 1 is just too little for you to be able to hold on to. In fact, that's a little bit melted now, so I might just run down and actually, do you mind in the silver fridge to the left? There's more jelly, and then get a knife, and I'll use the fresh one. So once it's melted, it's very difficult to then put into a dumpling because it just moves everywhere. Okay, so whilst Yolo is going to get that, I'm going to roll these out. Tapioca is fine. I don't mind a bit of tapioca. And this one you want to be really nice and thin. Okay. In fact, I might use a bit of wheat flour. Okay. This is why we don't do this in an hour. Right, okay, so wheat flour is probably a bit better.
And these different flours are available at
Yeah, so Long Fung is probably the best one for dim sum flours. Every supermarket in Chinatown does sort of specialises in different things, and those guys specialise more in dim sum flours. So you can find every flour that I'm using here. You can find there. See, we were usually pretty good at stocking them as well. And we what's that?
And the ready-made wrappers.
Yes, ready-made wrappers can be found frozen or fresh, either or. And we use the fresh ones, which are easier to use. They're not as dry as the frozen ones. Yes, opposite New Lu Moon. That's Long Fung. New Lu Moon is really good for Southeast Asian vegetables. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make a soup dumpling. First of all, I'll just do it without the jelly whilst Yolanda's coming back, and I'll show you. She's here. Oh, she's here. Oh, that's good. Oh, it's in the AG fridge there, in the silver tin, and it says veggie jelly.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So when we're teaching, the next step from going from this to all the way round is how I'm going to explain it now. Okay. Usually by the end of the 5 days, I only get to this part of explanation. We don't go any further. Okay. So it's a crane. So my hand is a crane because it's coming from the top. It never droops. It shouldn't come from the side. Right. So its thumbs are always inside, close to the meat. Index fingers close underneath. So we're going to use this index finger and push toward. Hey! And we're going to push it towards. Can you just cut it up into? Sorry. Okay. And now I'm going to push this towards the other index finger and pleat, much like I was doing before. But my right hand is just turning the pastry in and in and in. When I get halfway, remember the egg cup from the silmai? It's now a half egg cup. So half egg cup. Flush to the top of my finger, and then I'm going to go twist in, twist in, twist in, twist in, and I'm going to finish it there, and that's a silong bao. Okay.
Wow. Oh, wow.
That's how we make ta sil bao as well. Okay. Right. If I then just show you one more with this, with a bit of jelly. I've got that. Sorry, I got it. Okay. Okay, so we've got the jelly.
It's like a stock, then?
Yeah, it's just a stock. It's just a jellified stock. That's all it is. Got some cubes in there. Okay.
Right. Using them cold to keep their shape?
Yeah, so that it's easier to fold. Yeah. All right, and then if I take a spoonful of my mix with a good bit of jelly in there, that's how we create the soup, right? And so I'm going to put that jelly into the dumpling as well. Right. Now I'm going to do exactly the same thing, but this is what people don't notice. So the evolution of the dumpling. This is the soup dumpling, the ultimate dumpling. Okay, so you push it in from the top, the crane goes in, and you overlap. Now the difference, this took me 3 years to figure out why my dumplings weren't as beautiful as my mentor's Campo, right? So when I pinch here, he just pulled up slightly. Okay, pinch and pull, pinch and pull, pinch and pull, pinch and pull.
I don't know how you're going to
and you're going to keep going and keep going and keep pinching and pulling and all the way until you get to the end. And when you've got that little bit of jelly, maybe a little bit too much, but that's fine, I'm still pulling up and then just finishing off at the end, and then try and get your thumb out. And usually you have a little hole in the middle of the dumpling to allow the steam from the jelly to come out. Okay? Cool. So that, guys, is what I want to write my next book on. Now you can help me out. It's a lot of learning. That's really hard to get there. It's taken me about, I did it in 2011, I went for my dim sum classes in Singapore, but even from then, we've completely changed all the recipes because the humidity in Singapore is 98%, and it's very different to here, and we all know, or those who know pastry, it affects it quite a lot. So that's how we make our dumplings. The last one I've got, and I'll just do one to show you, is your custard buns, which we're steaming away, or we've steamed and we're going to deep fry off. And this is a yeast dough that we make the custard bun with. So this is way over proven now, but we're going to do the same sort of thing, but it's very easy. And what we have is we have a custard, it's like a slightly sweet, soft, pillowy dough, okay? And then we've got a very simple custard filling. We use custard, just like a powdered custard, coconut, desiccated coconut, blitz it up with some butter and some condensed milk. And some sugar, of course. And we take this and we just mould that into a nice circle, which we use, again, so many different flours. This flour here is what we call cooked glutinous rice flour. And a cooked glutinous rice flour, glutinous rice sticky, cooked, dehydrated, so it absorbs moisture, okay? And that absorption of moisture means that this won't explode the pastry, okay? Because it comes out quite liquid otherwise. So I just roll that in that cooked glutinous rice flour a little bit, and then put it into a nice ball. And then this here, you make that skin I was talking about, okay, to make that outside skin of the dough. And then it's a nice circle, and once you've got a nice circle, set that in, push that through, right? And then I'll just wait for 30 seconds or so, let it relax a bit. It is it's got gluten in there, yeah. So that's going to relax out, and then all I'm going to do is place that in there, and we're going to start to piece this bun together. So we take this and we push in, but we twist and push, twist. You can see like sort of repetitive movements coming in from different dumplings, and you keep pushing in and twisting up until you're finished, and then you've just got this little bit of dough at the end which you twist off until it's one pastry with your filling inside, and then we've got your steamed custard bun. Okay. We steam that for 8 minutes. The filling inside should be slightly molten but not bursting out, and then what we've done tonight is, once they've steamed, we've snipped little snippets in to make them look like little hedgehogs, and then we're going to deep fry them for you, just for a naughty finish, okay? So anyway guys, it's a pleasure to have you guys. Hopefully I've showed you a bit of excitement, a little bit of interesting stuff about dim sum, and yeah, let's eat and drink.